3 weeks had passed since Goku's arrival on the world the orcs called Scarek, a designation that roughly translated to "good place for fighting." In their crude tongue, in those weeks, something unprecedented had begun to take shape in the ruins of what had once been an imperial hive city. The changes in the orcs were subtle but profound, not supernatural transformation, but the kind of growth that came from exposure to new ideas and genuine care for their development. Under Goku's patient instruction, they had learned to channel their natural aggression more effectively, to work together as units rather than as individual fighters, to consider strategy and tactics alongside brute force. "That hummy's got strange ideas about fighting," rumbled Skarjak, one of Grimtusk's lieutenants, who had become Goku's primary training partner. The massive orc had sustained enough injuries in their sparring sessions to require extensive cybernetic replacement, but he wore his new augmentations like badges of honor. "He in danger. He keeps talking about growing stronger together, like we's all supposed to help each other get better. And it works," Grimtusk admitted, his mechanical jaw clicking as he observed his clan's improved performance. "Look at the boys, Skarjak. When's the last time you seen orcs coordinate like that? When's the last time we won a scrap without losing half our numbers?" It was true. The clan's recent raids had been devastatingly effective, not through superior firepower or numbers, but through tactical coordination that was utterly unprecedented in orc society. They were learning to fight not just as individuals seeking personal glory, but as a cohesive force working toward common objectives. More importantly, they were developing something that had no place in traditional orc culture: wisdom. Not the cold calculation of strategic planners, but something warmer and more fundamental. They were learning to care about things beyond immediate gratification and personal advancement. "You know what's weird?" Skarjak confided to his war boss one evening as they shared a meal around the central fire. "Ever since Dahumi got here, I've been having different kinds of dreams. Not just about crushing enemies and taking their stuff. Dreams about protecting things, about building something worth fighting for." But their peaceful development was not destined to last. As word of the corrupted clan spread across the planet's warring factions, other war bosses began to take notice. Some saw opportunity in their tactical innovations. Others saw threat in their unprecedented cooperation. And a few saw something that demanded immediate and violent correction. The challenge, when it came, followed ancient orc tradition, but carried modern implications that none of them fully understood. Chapter 5: The Price of Change. Ominous Drums. Warboss Skarskull was everything that made orcs terrifying. 12 feet of scarred muscle and crude cybernetic enhancement, armed with weapons that had claimed more lives than some Imperial Guard regiments. But more dangerous than his physical prowess was his cunning and his absolute dedication to traditional orc values. "I challenge Dahumi!" he bellowed across the wasteland separating the two encampments, his voice amplified by crude but effective voxcasters. "This corruption of proper orc ways ends now. Single combat, winner takes all." Goku studied his challenger through enhanced senses that could detect power levels with remarkable accuracy. Skarskull was strong, stronger than any opponent he had faced since arriving in this universe. More than that, the rival warboss carried himself with the confidence of someone who had never known defeat. "You don't have to do this," Grimtusk said quietly as they prepared for the formal challenge. "Skarskull's got a reputation for treachery, He ain't gonna fight fair. I know, Goku replied, but his expression showed excitement rather than concern. That's what makes it interesting. Besides, I can't let him hurt you guys, just because you've been helping me learn about this universe. The ancient stone circle that served as their arena had witnessed countless duels over the millennia, each contest adding new stains to its already blood-soaked surface. But today it would witness something unprecedented, a human standing as champion for an orc clan, facing an opponent whose reputation for savagery was legendary even by the standards of his brutal species. As the two combatants entered the circle from opposite sides, the differences between them could not have been more stark. Where Skarsgård was massive and threatening, Goku appeared almost small by comparison, though anyone with enhanced senses could detect the coiled power in his compact frame and the absolute confidence in his movements. So, Skarsgård rumbled, his voice carrying easily across the arena to the hundreds of orcs gathered around its perimeter. This is the famous Humi what's been corrupting good orc warriors with his fancy techniques and soft thinking. You don't look like much to me, alien. Just another weakling that's about to learn what real strength means. Goku settled into a ready stance, his expression serious but not hostile. I'm not here to prove anything about strength, he replied, his voice calm and measured. I'm here because my friends asked me to fight for them, and because you're threatening people I care about. That's reason enough. What happened next defied every expectation. Skarsgård's opening attack was devastating, coordinated and utterly lethal, and it never came close to touching its target. The massive chain axe swept through the space where Goku had been standing, its whirring teeth gouging deep furrows in the ancient stone. But Goku was no longer there, having moved with a speed that made him effectively invisible to normal perception. His counterattack, a simple palm strike to Skarsgård's solar plexus, should have been easily absorbed by the larger fighter's natural durability and cybernetic reinforcements. Instead, the impact lifted the 12-foot orc completely off his feet and sent him flying backward across the arena to impact the far wall with enough force to crack the volcanic glass. The crowd fell silent. This was not just superior technique or unexpected speed. This was power operating on a scale that transcended their understanding of what was possible for beings of flesh and blood. But Skarsgård was far from finished. As he pulled himself from the crater his impact had created, his eyes blazed with fury and something approaching fear. This human was operating on a completely different level, accessing reserves of strength that seemed to have no upper limit. That was a lucky shot, he roared, though his voice carried less conviction than before. Let's see how you handle a real fight. What followed was a sustained assault that would have reduced a space marine dreadnought to scrap metal. Chain axe and flamer worked in perfect coordination, creating a storm of cutting edges and superheated promethium that filled the entire center of the arena with lethal force. But as the battle progressed, something remarkable began to happen. Each exchange, each moment when Goku was forced to push his abilities to their absolute limits, triggered the ancient Saiyan biological imperative that had made his race legendary. His power was growing, adapting, evolving in real time to meet the challenges being thrown at him. More than that, he was beginning to understand something fundamental about this universe that he had only sensed before. The crude but effective orc technology, the way their weapons seemed to function through sheer bloody-minded determination, as much as engineering, it was all connected to something deeper. A force that permeated reality itself and responded to will and emotion as much as physical law. The warp, the Imperium, the realm where thoughts became reality, and belief could literally reshape the fundamental nature of existence. And as that understanding crystallized, as Goku's Saiyan instincts began to resonate with the psychic energy that filled this universe, something unprecedented began to happen.